Still, Nation, it's a little bit cold here in Australia, but not as cold out your way in Pittsburgh or Baltimore. I think it's meant to be around the 35 or 40s, or like my 2 degrees. And it's like -6 degrees in Pittsburgh right now. So it's a little bit fresh here, a little bit cold, and we are still talking Steelers versus Ravens football. I am going to move on from this point of like fire Mike Tomlin. I get it. There are some fan base who wants to do it, other fan base who doesn't. But right now we have a game. The Steelers versus Ravens on Saturday. And I want to talk about the injury report just for a minute, but not really our side, being our Steelers. There are some players who are dealing with some things. You've got Dante Jackson coming back full, Logan Lee full, Mason McCormick with his broken hand. He could be playing. Cameron Hayward has the illness. And so does Chris Boswell, did not play as well with the illness too. Don't want to focus on that. What I want to focus on is ZAY Flowers. Now, he got over 1,000 yards this year for the Ravens. He's the number one receiver. He's Lamar Jackson's guy. Moving down the field, getting the ball, scoring TDs. He's their big playmaker. ZAY Flowers might not be playing in this game in Baltimore. And that could be very key. And we're all, right now, we're like -9 or -8.5. And the Steelers are the true underdog. And everyone's saying that the Ravens are going to win. The Ravens are going to go towards the divisional playoff game and the AFC Championship. And it could move into, you might see Chargers versus Ravens in the Bowl next week. Let's hope the refs don't get involved in that sense, where the refs are trying to make, and the NFL is trying to make a matchup with the two brothers, John versus Jack, or whoever the guy's name is, John versus John, two hardballs in the Bowl. Because I could definitely see how the refs could do that. The refs could push the narrative to like Chargers versus Ravens, Bowl, all this kind of crazy stuff happen. I can see it. So let's make sure that doesn't happen. But I want to come back to this, and that's the Ravens report is Wednesday, January 8th, and that's my Thursday. And Cole Hamilton, the safety, has a knee in full practice. So it looks like he's going to be playing. Deontay Hardy, the knee, he's like the return specialist. Justin Hill, I think he's one to watch out for too. I think he's pretty good. Justin Hill, if they're locking down Derrick Henry, he's one of the guys at the back that gets the screens and gets the receiving yards, and he's a pretty fast back. So look out for him. But the most important name here I want to talk about is ZAY Flowers' knee did not play. In the Browns game, he caught a pass and fell back on his knee, or someone kind of clipped it. And I think he went for scans and all those kind of things. He hasn't played 2 times in a row, 2 practices in a row. So that does not look good for did not play, did not practice from the Monday, the Tuesday practice, and there's one more practice to go. I don't think he's going to play in the scenario versus Steelers versus Ravens. Now, I'm not using that as an excuse. Some might say, "Oh, we want to verse their top 53 or their top 47 on game day. Lamar Jackson healthy, everyone like that, right?" But I'm just saying, if this were to happen, that would mean that JPJ would man up against maybe Bateman. You probably see Dante Jackson on someone else. Maybe they have more players and a better scheme to man up against Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. If they can take away the run and force Lamar Jackson to pass, if he hasn't got one of his pass catchers or receivers out there, this should be our advantage. And getting back to our secondary, who haven't been playing good football, and they've been miscommunicating from Cameron Sutton to everyone not being on the right page, with James Pierre's been out there and Corey Trice. They've been missing assignments. If ZAY Flowers can't go, this would be the advantage overall for our Steelers in the secondary, and I think, and also for TJ Watt and Highsmith to step up in that sense. So I'm just going to go quickly to his stats, because he has been quite a valuable player for the Ravens in the 12-5 season. Of course, they won the AFC North, which we had a chance to win in their house a few weeks ago. But receiving-wise, he has 111 targets, 1,059 yards, 4 TDs, 14.3 yards average, and 53 yards longest. So ZAY Flowers is definitely a guy, is their number one guy. And last time, Pickens was out, right? We didn't have Pickens, and we also didn't have, I saw this good tweet too. I saw this good tweet online from Chris G. Steelers. Deshaun Elliott, Larry Ogunjobi, Dante Jackson, George Pickens didn't play versus the Ravens last time, and that was when we played in their house. JPJ left early, he did. Add that with Russ to 2 huge uncommon turnovers with, that was the bad pass and also the bad fumble when he's running to the end zone, right? I know it looks bad going in, but don't automatically count the Steelers out. And that's where I'm starting to feel like 3 days away from this game, I'm starting to get hyped up pumped up, and I do see a lot of good comments from my Steeler Nation Oz viewers out there saying we'll win this game, we have a chance, and here's why we have a chance. But we even have a bigger chance now, the fact that Zay Flowers could be out. So Zay Flowers is the number 1 receiver, and as I read through the stats, Rashad Bateman is the number 2 receiver, number 3, or pass catcher. He had 756 yards, 16 yards average, but he had 9 TDs. So if you lock up JPJ with him and maybe get some help over the top with Minka Fitzpatrick, not taking away the deep ball, then you have to focus on Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, who are the second 2 guys with 55 targets and 42 targets. So Zay Flowers, Bateman, Andrews, and Likely are top 4 pass catchers. Then it comes down to Hill and Nelson Aguilar with a few there. So if they can't play, if Zay Flowers cannot play versus the Steelers, no excuse. I'm not trying to make an excuse or trying to get a bit of help, but it would definitely help the Steelers team. The fact that JPJ could mark up with someone else. You might have KZ roaming around. You might have Deshaun Elliott playing down the box. You might have Elena Roberts playing more thumping role, trying to hit Derrick Henry. Our defense can match up pretty well against the Ravens. We're still 8-2 over the last 10 games. Yes, it hasn't looked good the last 4 games going into the season, but now it's like it's a single elimination tournament. It's 0-0. You start game 0-0. So I think this is a plus. This is a huge plus. Derrick Henry doesn't get the ball too much from the passing wise. He only got 19 catches, 22 targets. Their real threat was Zay Flowers, 116 targets. Then it was Bateman next. So let's see what happens with JPJ, Joey Porter Jr., having the game of his life, right? And if he can take away their receiver, maybe Lamar Jackson has to run more. Maybe it's going to force him into the pocket, and big Cam Hayward steps up and gives a big bear hug. Things like that can happen. We saw how we won the game at home, 18-16. It was good defense. You force a fumble with Derrick Henry. There were more things happening too. We had Chris Boswell getting field goals, so you want to see him healthy. But this could be a good sign for the Steelers to at least have a chance in this game if Zay Flowers is out. But like I said, I'm not using it as an excuse. I'm just using it as observation. If he cannot play, we didn't play Pickens last time. And yes, from the offensive side, the Steelers need to go and get Pickens the ball. They need to go and get Mike Williams the ball. They need to go and get Ben Skoranek the ball. They need to do things differently on the offense to be open and creative and move the ball and not just run the rock with Najee Harris going forward on the first down. I'm getting very pumped up. I'm trying to do more videos than I can. I'm very busy at work, but we've got 3 days ago. Steelers versus Ravens Saturday with my Sunday. And this would be epic. This would be awesome to see Mike Tomlin take care of business and the Steelers take care of business and shut the flock of Ravens fans up. A lot of Ravens fans out there are very, 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 and I say very overconfident. They forget that the Steelers have been owning them the last 8 years or 9 years. You had one good win where at some stage it was tied. It was tied. Then Russell Wilson threw the pick, and you got back another 7 points in the front. It was tied going in the third quarter. The defense played pretty good football versus the Ravens. And these kind of games always go a 3-point swing or a 7-point swing or 6-point swing. So we're fired up. We're pushing to the corner. We need to win this game. We are the underdog. There's a lot of pressure on Lamar Jackson. There's a lot of pressure on this Ravens team that has 9 Pro Bowlers who you know what? Let's send them to the Pro Bowl. Let's go and win this game and send them to the Pro Bowl. A lot of pressure on the Ravens because they're a super class team that they should be going to the Super Bowl. And we're just the lonely loser Steelers. We can't win it all. We've lost 4 in a row and everyone's given up. But I don't think so. If you see how the matchups work and with JPJ matching up on the receivers, if Minka and those guys and our slot guys can match up against the tight ends and chip them and push them around and get them off their routes, then we have more time to run into Lamar Jackson with Highsmith and TJ. And don't forget about Highsmith too. He's been getting very, very close to sacking the quarterback or putting pressure in the pass rush win rate category and all those kind of things where this could manifest a turnover or manifest some good plays where you're putting a lot of pressure on Jackson. Now, that crazy Ravens crowd in M&T Bank Stadium will go absolutely fire and nuts. However, if you look to it and these players are out and we match up pretty well on defense, if we can control Lamar in the pocket, contain him in the pocket, don't allow him to roll out and run for 20, 15 yards, TJ Watt on the outside, gap mentality, control him and don't allow him to move anywhere or QB scramble, then you got to force him to throw. and you start to force Lamar Jackson to throw, you will see picks, you will see turnovers, you'll see air balls going so far because there's no Zay Flowers there. Anyway, Steel Nation, I'm getting pretty keen. I'm getting pretty fired up. So Zay Flowers has missed 2 days of practice. So a lot of people are saying there's no hope, there's no chance. We want to fire Mike Tomlin. It's all over. It's all done. But as you look into it more and more and more, if the Steelers can get out of their own way and start to run the ball and feed Warren and get Najee have a big game. He had a pretty big game versus the Ravens in the home game we had them, right? Just play physical and control the time possession, getting TDs, 7-0, getting the ball to Fryman, stuff like that. Then you never know. You could see the big upset in the Super Wild Card weekend. So Zay Flowers out. Make sure you watch that in the next few days when they practice and see if he's out the previous day, because then Lamar Jackson has to rely on Bateman, Andrews, likely, who are both good tight ends, but you're missing one of your key stars, that is Zay Flowers. Alrighty, Steel Nation, I'll get out of here. I'll let you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Don't give up hope just yet. It's not over. We want to see something like this. Remember, this is the very start of the season when I was like, oh my goodness, the Ravens almost won the game versus the Chiefs. And I was like, well, here's the problem. The problem is you have to have 2 feet in bounds right there. I want to see stuff like that. I want to see the Ravens screw up. I want to see John Harbaugh go for a 4th and 2 on his own 35 and hand the possession over to us. There's going to be some stupid things like that. It's not over. The Steelers know how to play Ravens. The Ravens know how to play the Steelers. It's going to be a matchup for, like, the ages. It's going to be a good one. If we can win this game, then shoot, we could verse KC, or we could verse Texans, or we could verse Chargers. See what happens. But it's not over just yet. And also, the matchups that we're seeing right now could be in our favor by Zay Flowers being out. I'll see you guys later.